Guess what, guys? It is Top 5 Wednesday this week. I am Jackie from Jack Gets Lost in Book Hole, and this week's topic is ships, hate to love ships. Now, this topic, I feel like some people, including myself, are a little confused because we didn't know if it was ships that we hated at first but now we love, or if it's ships that were like, in the context of the story, they started out as hate or dislike at least, and then they fell in love. So that's the one I'm going with because that's the one that is easier for me to do. Because there's never been a shipping pair that I've hated, or if I have hated them, I stay hating them, or maybe I'll lighten up a little bit, not hate them as much, but I still am not a fan of them. But okay, so like I said, I'm going with the ships that started as people that hated each other at first, or a strong dislike for each other. So my first one is from the book North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. You have the two main characters, John Thornton and Margaret Hale. Margaret is, this book is basically it's like Pride and Prejudice. Two people from two different worlds who are judging each other, but then end up getting to know each other and falling in love. It's basically the same premise, except you have the South of England, Helston, and then you have the north of England, the city, which is Milton. The city of Milton. And it's during the Industrial Revolution. And Margaret Hale is the daughter of I think he's called I don't know if you would call him a minister or a priest or whatever. But something happens with the man who ends up taking over the church. He doesn't like what he's doing. I think he had to reaffirm himself as a church deacon or something, or it was like a political thing or something. He didn't like the change, so Margaret's father ends up quitting and uprooting their family to the city of Milton. And that is, like I said, it's during the Industrial Revolution. So Milton is a very prosperous city, but it's all about factories and building things. And Margaret's father, Mr. Hale, wants to become a teacher, but of course, at the time, his family is telling him, no one wants to learn anymore. No one cares about education and philosophy and all that kind of stuff. But he ends up teaching the man who helps their family move in and transition into the city life, and that's John Thornton. And he's one of the managers, and he is very he has a bit of a temper. He's a very hard boss, essentially, very little cold, and Margaret is, when she first meets him, their first impression is very in the book. In the movie it's different, but in the book it's very formal and awkward, but you can see there's something they're at least he's fascinated with her. And I think now I haven't finished the whole book. I'm kind of going more along. I admit I'm kind of thinking more about the movie, along the lines of the movie. It's very hard for me not to think about movie characters for these top 5 Wednesdays. So, but the two of them are complete opposites. They don't get along. They hate each other. Again, it's like Pride and Prejudice. They're very judgmental and prejudiced towards each other. They see things completely opposite. They see things completely different. She doesn't like how he runs his factory, and he's like, you don't understand how things work here. They have a very hostile relationship, but despite their hostility, he falls in love with her first, and he proposes marriage, but she rejects him. She's like, I'm not ready for marriage. Of course, again, I haven't really got that far in the book, but in the movie, his response is, oh, so you get these proposals all the time, you just assume that I only want to marry you so I can play the part of the man, and that you need to be taken care of. And Margaret she's a very strong, independent woman, and it's just been her and her parents and her mom. She's been forced to take charge in her family. Her brother's gone, because there's this whole subplot of he got into some legal trouble, and now he has to go into hiding. So Margaret is kind of taking care of her family, taking responsibility, just as John has taken responsibility of his family, being the man of the house. You know, his father died, and he has a very close relationship with his mother, his very domineering mother. And he's the family provider, so they're constantly, the two of them are constantly butting heads, because they are both, like, they both kind of run their family, you know, run the house. They both like to take charge, and they're both very stubborn, and like I said, judgmental, and it's very fun. Like I said, I haven't read through all the way the book, so it's more, for me, it's fun to watch. I mean, but I'm sure I will enjoy reading them. Let's see, what else did I say? And their personalities often clash, and their differences, her being a girl from the south, and him being a city boy and from the north, and like I said, like I said, they basically can't stand each other in the beginning, but slowly they fall in love as they get to know each other. And these actually are my favorite kind of relationships, when the couple starts out as not liking each other, but then they slowly get to know each other and start to realize that they could fall in love with each other. And they do. And that's my first number one favorite type of couple romance. My other one being the whole best friends thing, where two best friends fall in love. Hence why I decided to do that, and why I wanted to do this the way, do this week's topic the way I wanted, why I was all for ships that start out as people that don't like each other and then fall in love, because I'm really good at finding those. Okay, ship number 3, Ron and Hermione from Harry Potter. Need I say more? Now, I know a lot of people are into the non-canon ship, Hermione, and then there's the other group of people who agree with what J.K. Rowling had apparently said, which is she shouldn't have put Ron and Hermione together. She should put Harry and Hermione, but I have to disagree with that. I mean, granted, I know she's the author. This is her baby. This is her story. She knows her own story. But I feel like once you put your story out there, I mean, fans can interpret it how they want. It can become as much their story as it is the original author's story. But I can't ship. I mean, I could potentially ship Hermione if we got more of Draco's character. We got more development, and I feel like we do get development in book 6. We see more of his story. But because, of course, the book is all about Harry, you don't get a lot of Draco's story, and I feel like you don't get to know him enough for me to be like, oh, I love his character. I mean, I like his character, I don't hate his character. But it's just hard for me to, be totally on board with him and Hermione. But I could ship it more than I could ship Harry and Hermione, because I feel like Harry and Hermione are more like best friends. They're good as friends. That's the kind of relationship I feel like they have. Like brotherly, sisterly affection. Despite with the movie, I know in the movie, in the last 2 movies, they kind of did things that were just to tease fans and just to add drama. Which technically was already in the book, that I think Ron was insecure and was worried that Hermione liked Harry, was into him and everything, and was choosing him over Ron. So that was in the book, but I feel like the movie took it a step too far. I mean, a little farther. And to be fair, I wasn't going to say too far, but to be fair, it's the movie industry. They're gonna do their own thing. They're gonna be loyal to the original material, but they're gonna add their own stuff. But anyway, back to Ron and Hermione. I love these two. And just like Margaret and Thornton, these two cannot stand each other in the beginning, and in fact, Ron finds Hermione annoying, and I could see where people would say she's annoying, because she does, as Snape said, she's a bit of and Ron agreed that she's a bit of a know-it-all. I mean, I think Ron agreed. No, actually, no, he agreed in the movie, but I think he defended her in the book. In the movie, I don't think he defended her. I think he was like, well, Snape's kind of right, But I think in the book he defended her. But she's very book smart. She's like, I know the answer, which can get annoying. She's very smart. In the first book, she's all about following the rules. But as the stories progress, she starts to slowly learn that you don't always have to follow the rules. I mean, you should, But sometimes there are certain circumstances, particularly in a type of story like this, where following the rules isn't always the best solution. It's not always the best thing to do. But they're in a crazy situation anyway. You know, I mean, not all of us are lucky enough to be in some crazy situation where we have an excuse to break the rules. She's very type A personality, I feel like. While Ron is more, he's laid back, he's fun, you know, he wants to relax, he doesn't want to work too hard, but he's very funny, but both him and Hermione, they're both very loyal and care about Harry. They want to protect him, they want to support him and be there for him. And I have to say, I felt so bad for Hermione because she was caught kind of in the middle in book 4 in Goblet of Fire because Ron's old issues about, you know, feeling like he's always going to play second fiddle, he's always going to be second best, you know, and his best friend is the most famous wizard most famous wizard of his generation, and then here he is, you know, in Goblet of Fire, his name gets pulled out of the goblet, and all Ron can think of is, you know, great. Once again, Harry's center of attention, and of course he's going to jump to conclusions and think, oh my God, how could, you know, you betray me like this, and you said you would never do, but you know, really, you just want glory and everything. Which we all know, of course, Harry doesn't feel that way, but Ron is a very insecure guy. And I feel, and Hermione is trying to, you know, you gotta admire Hermione because she's very much loyal. She tries to be loyal to both of them. Of course, she gets really frustrated, I feel like. And because she's like has to decide between the two of them. And I think by the 4th book, the feelings between Ron and Hermione are starting to develop at that point. So she's kind of like competent, you know, but she cares about Harry. He's like a brother to her, so she's very much, you know, caught in the middle in book 4. Like, she doesn't know whose side she's on this issue. In fact, she thinks they're both stupid, probably, and immature for this. So. But Hermione will definitely keep Ron together. She will, you know, take care of him, I feel like. She will support him, and she will keep him from being, like, doing dumb things. And he's a good balance for her, you know, he will lighten her up a little bit. He's a good influence on her as much as she's a good influence on him. But I love this the back and forth between these two is so fun. Like, first thing she says to him is, you know, she points out that he's not doing a real spell when he tries to turn Scabbers yellow. I just read the Sorcerer's Stone, so I'm going to remember Sorcerer's Stone details really well. And actually, there was a Harry Potter marathon on Freeform this past weekend. Any excuse for Freeform to do a Harry Potter movie. Although I think they skipped the 5th movie because they want, you know, because there's like 7 of them, and you know they start on Thursday, and those movies aren't short. So I think they ended up skipping the 5th movie and went straight to the 6th one, so that Sunday they could do the 7 and 8. And then I remember she pointed that he still had dirt on his nose, the dirt that that Miss Weasley was trying to, you know, clean up, you know, and do that mother thing of using your own spit to clean up your child's face. And she's always like, she kind of reminds me of Miss Weasley in a way, you know, very like, and she also reminds me of the type of woman who would, like, not necessarily hurt you, but, you know, grab your ear and be like, you know, just pull you away. Not necessarily he doesn't really, really hurt you, but just to, you know. And who doesn't, and, like, his funniness and loyalty and sweetness, you know. Although I had problems with Ron in the 6th book when he goes out with Lav. She, of course, you know, I mean, and unfortunately Hermione went out with Cormac McLaggen. But I do not get what he saw in Lavender Brown. I mean, I get that she was pretty, but oh my God, the girl was so freaking intense. She was crazy. She was obsessed with them. But, I mean, although I'm sure she was really sweet. And then too, they drove me crazy, but I enjoyed them driving me crazy because their relationship is just so cute and fun, and just that the back and forth between them, and then finally that kiss in the last book was just great because unfortunately they did not finally officially start dating until the last book. But unfortunately there was like a lot of drama between them in the last book too. The tension, because Ron of course is wearing the necklace with the lock, is wearing the locket, so that kind of makes all his issues come out, and it makes his jealousy come out, and he starts thinking that Harry and Hermione are betraying him behind his back and hooking up, that they secretly have feelings for each other. But there's so much more I could say about Ron and Hermione, but I do not want this video to get too long. Those two are just great, and I cannot ship Hermione, but, well, like I said, I could potentially ship Hermione if we got more character development. I'm sure if I read some Hermione fanfiction, I could get more into it. As long as the Hermione fanfiction is better than that one fanfiction, the famous one that is really horrible, My Immortal. As long as it's better than that, of course, I'm sure anything could be better than that one. I don't know to think if that one was just a joke, or something. The girl who wrote this really was legit with her story. Because it was just so bad that it could potentially be a joke. But maybe she legitimately. Well, anyway, I'm getting off topic here, so let me get to the next one. Okay, this one is a new one. I just read this book a few weeks ago, and that is Six of Crows, and I'm talking about Nina and Matthias. Okay, so these two start. Nina is a Grisha, so she has the powers. I think she's a Heartrender. She could stop hearts and stuff, or knock people out and stuff. So, and Matthias is basically I can't remember where he's from, but he's basically from a country. And he's a soldier, and, they hate the Grisha. They are predators against the Grisha. They see them as monsters because they have these powers. So it's like they're inhuman, and they're witches, and they weren't meant to be born. That he has that whole mentality, and he hates. And he ends up, when Nina wanders into his camp, and she's captured. And then when they're escaping, her and the other prisoners are trying to escape, and there's a mutiny on the boat where they are being held prisoner. I think there was like the boat crash or whatever, and basically Nina and Matthias end up separated from the rest of everybody, and they are basically trying to get back. And they are forced to basically depend on each other until they hate. But the problem is they hate each other, and they're predators. And he thinks she should be killed, and she thinks he should die. At the same time, of course, they're starting to develop these feelings for each other because they, when you're close with someone, like in the literal sense, and you're attracted to them to some extent, things can happen, And so the two of them end up starting to fall for each other. But then Nina, desperate to protect herself and protect her people and not trusting him, kind of sells him out, and he ends up in one of the prisons she feels so. He has been dreaming about killing her. He dreams about her design. He has desires, dreams about her, but then he also has dreams where he's going to kill her. All the different ways he can kill her because of her betrayal. And she is weighed down by guilt. She doesn't know how to get him, and she feels horrible, and she knew that she didn't intend for him to get her. She was trying to survive, and unfortunately that kind of involved her making a rash decision to protect herself. And so then, one of the most the guy that she kind of works for, he ends up giving her the opportunity to go and he ends up giving her the opportunity to get Matthias out. And so Matthias ends up helping Kaz and his crew. And there's the whole time the two of them are like sniping at each other and contemplating, they're fighting with their own emotions because they hate each other, but then they still have feelings for each other. I love reading that struggle between characters. Reading it or seeing it. It's just very entertaining and enjoyable because you're just. And I was like screaming at the book and yelling at the book and getting so frustrated with the situation with these characters and lots of facepalm moments for me. It was just driving me crazy. But just that relationship is like next to the other one, in the story, that relationship. Well, actually, there are technically three relationships in the story. But Nina and Matthias are I love them and I enjoy watching their story unfold, and I can't wait to get to Crooked Kingdom and see how the relationship goes from there and how it works out. And you definitely can tell their feelings are there, but seeing that struggle is between them is just, I just love it. Okay, so next, so these last three couples, because I did, that was number 3, but I kind of added a 6, I have 2 more to go, but I did add a 6th couple because I just had to put them in there as a bonus couple. So these last 3 are TV couples because, like I said, sometimes I just can't help but include TV couples because I'm kind of just starting to realize that I need to read more because sometimes it's just easier to watch a movie or and to remember a movie or a TV show than it is a book. I know you probably sounds crazy, but I've always felt like it was easier for me to remember the details of a TV show or what's on screen than in a book. Because I would buy so many books that it would be a long time before I read all the books, most of the books on my shelf. So I don't always remember, especially if it's in a series. Okay, so this next couple, Buffy and Spike, aka Spuffy. I know a lot of people would judge me, I think, for loving this couple because considering how they finally hook up in season 6, and there's the one incident in season 6, one of the main incident where Spike crossed a horrible line. I wish that episode did not I wish that thing did not happen. I dread that. I try to block it. I know it happened. In fact, people have to remind me of it all the time. Those who hate Buffy are like, did you forget that Spike did this to Buffy? And it's like, yes, it's unforgettable. Okay, us who like Spike remember that event. Okay, we're not dismissing what happened. We hate that. But, I shouldn't say we, I should say I, because I don't know if other Buffy fans feel this way, but I'm guessing they do. It's hard to forget that scene is imprinted in our brains. That scene in one of the last episodes in the second to the last episode, I think. In the episode Seeing Red, I believe that's the episode it was. So, trust me, it is hard to forget. But we're supposed to hang on Spike for that? We're supposed to never forgive him? Yes, there are some times where there are lines that there are things that characters that are unforgettable. But then again, this is a fictional character. And I'm not saying I'm in support of this type of action. I'm not. I hate this. But, Spike got a soul. Spoiler alert, he got a soul in the last season. He realized what a monster he had become. He saw this horrible thing that he did to Buffy, that he cares about her enough. And in the back of his mind, he loves her enough in a way to realize what he did was horrible and disgusting, and he does not deserve her love. So he went and got a human soul. He went through these dangerous, deadly trials and got a soul, knowing the weight of his sins and all the people he murdered and all of it was just like what Angel went through. He could feel it all at once. It was all unraveling in him. And, and apparently that's not enough. I guess for a lot of people that's, you cannot make up for this action that he did in the season 6. And of course, the relationships aren't as obsessive. He was obsessed with her and she just wanted to feel something. So she stopped doing them so she could feel something because, this is the season, Because like Buffy, she died in season 5. She had to sacrifice herself in season 5 to save the world because this demon wanted to use wanted to use the key, aka her sister Dawn, who is the key in human form. This demon wanted to use the key to unlock the door to her hell dimension. And it's not like, and basically Dawn would have to bleed to death to close the door. It wouldn't be until her blood stopped flowing that the door would be closed, and you would risk all these demons escaping out of the hell demon's dimension, and hell god. That's what she was, a hell god. So Buffy, unfortunately, at the end of season 5, knowing that she shared Dawn's blood, Dawn was her sister, so she had her blood, so she had to kill herself. She had to sacrifice herself, and then her friends, thinking that Buffy is trapped in this hell dimension, resurrect her, bring her back from the dead, which is understandable. I mean, they love their best friend, they love Buffy, and they feel like she's suffering in a hell dimension. But then you find out in the first episode, the second episode, that basically Buffy was not in hell, but that she was in heaven. And she was happy, and she was at peace. And her friends basically tore her out of there, but she cannot tell him that she was torn out of there, because she feels she does not want to do that to him, and you can't blame her, just as you can't blame her friends for feeling the way they feel. And even when they do find out, of course, you can't blame Xander for saying, well, I'm sorry we did this to her and everything, but I can't help but feel a little relieved that she is back in our lives. I mean, it may be selfish, but it's how I feel. Like, that's Xander's feelings. But, of course, Willow feels the complete opposite. She feels horrible and wants to fix it by using magic and stuff, but that's a whole nother aspect of the plot. And Spike, he understands her. So he understands Buffy, understands what she's suffering, and he's the only person that she can talk to. Just like when Buffy's mom, Joyce, was sick, and she realized she couldn't rely on, she could, but she chose not to rely on Riley, to lean on him, even though he was her boyfriend. Of course, no matter what, people will not feel sorry for Riley. I feel a little bit sorry for Riley during that season. But his choice on how to deal with it, was just, that kind of ruined his character for a lot of people, including myself. And Spike, the thing about them, really, not only was he there for her, and understood her, but he understood her darkness, the darkness within her. And so he was just there, and she just used him, and he used her because he was already obsessively in love with her, and he had been wanting her since season 5. So finally they are hooking up, but their relationship is abusive, and they're both cruel to each other, what I love about, and then by season 7, it's a totally different dynamic. They are still, they are honest with each other, and she is trying to help him, because the first evil is using him and brainwashing him to try to turn him into a monster. And Buffy's trying to help him, to take care of him, because she feels obligated and does not want, and because she's the Slayer and has to protect the world, she, of course, is not going to let Spike loose and let the First control him, because he might slaughter the world. He could, so I think that's one of the reasons why she takes it upon herself to, take him in and take care of him, despite what everyone else is saying. And I don't think and she couldn't kill him either, because I think she felt a bond towards him in a way. She cared, she was starting to care about him. And just that, but he believed in her, even when her friends basically they stopped believing in her and they lost faith in her decisions, he still was there for her. He tracked her down in comfort and said that he loved her for who she was, for what she was, for being such a strong, powerful woman, that she was the Slayer, and she was beautiful and powerful and confident. That's when and compassionate and a good person. That's what he loved about her. And she knew that there was good in him, that he had potential, especially now, and he had a soul. So he wasn't, it was a little easier for her to be open towards him, because he had a soul, just like Angel. and the two of them already had been intimate, but unfortunately, like I said, I love watching this couple. They may not be the most healthy relationship, but they are definitely one of the more interesting relationships on Buffy. I mean, but none of the relationships a lot of those relationships aren't exactly healthy. Or, I mean, some are healthier than others. But they all kind of fall apart. They're not perfect. They're cute, but then they really go bad. But they start to go bad early on. Not early on, but they do start to go bad. So none of the relationships are perfect. Some are worse than others, and a lot of people would say that Buffy is definitely worse than some of the other relationships. But I love watching them. I love watching their development and how they grow, and both them as individuals and as a couple, and as a couple, as a pair. That's what I like about Sophie. Okay, so couple number 5. This couple, I am addicted to this couple. I mean, I'm addicted to all these couples. But this one is one from my childhood. And again, another on-screen couple. But they're also from a play, a musical actually. Sound of Music, The Captain and Maria. I've been watching this couple for years, not because, it's not, obviously, if you know what Sound of Music is, it's not a TV show, but it's a it's a musical, and it was made into a movie back in the 60s, starring Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer, and Eleanor Parker, and it's, okay, so if you are unfamiliar, other than the fact it's a musical, it is a story about Maria, a nun in training, but she's free-spirited, she loves music. She doesn't always she's not good on following the rules. I mean, she's not a troublemaker or but she's got a little bit of a rebellious streak. But she's a sweet person. And so, but the problem is, because of her free-spirited nature, the mother abbess and the other nuns are like, okay, you are not meant to be a nun. You are, you need to, the abbey lifestyle is not for you. So Mother Abbess suggests to Marie, why don't you go into the world, explore the world, and then you can decide if you're ready to commit yourself to being a daughter of God. The Mother Abbess sends her to this widower Navy captain, Captain Von Trapp, who has 7 children. Yes, 7 children. Let's see. 7 children. 16 to 5, I believe. The youngest is 5. Gretel's 5, and Liesel is 16, I believe. Actually, I know, because I know most of that dialogue in the movie when the children are introducing themselves to Maria twice. I practically have that memorized. And so Maria, and the captain has a very strict regiment. He is very hard on the children. He disciplines them a little too harshly, in Maria's opinion. He's very cold and emotionally distant with them, and it's because, the music and the laughter and his children basically remind him of his wife. He's a widower, like I said, and it's just too hard for him. So he wants to escape that. He doesn't want to deal with that. He doesn't want to deal with the memories of his wife. He basically, closes himself off from the children. And Maria sees this, and she wants to help the children. She teaches them how to sing. She gives them a chance to have fun. She even makes play clothes for them out of curtains. And she is very compassionate, and and the captain is very, like you said, he's very cold and strict, and he does not like, how Maria does things, how he gets frustrated with her and does not like how she does not listen to him. And he could technically fire her because she is his employee, but Maria is like, no, what you're doing is wrong. You cannot close yourself off to these children, and they need their father, and especially since their mother is gone, and you need to be there for them and comfort them, give them attention, and teach them things, and spend time with them. And so she starts, and let them have fun. Yes, it's good to have discipline. It's good for them to focus on their schoolwork. But at the same time, you don't have to do that all the time. I mean, they're on, the book, the story, not the book, it's not a book. The story starts out in the summer. So the summer is the time for the children to play, and he wants them to, focus on their studies. Which, I mean, yeah, I had a little bit of work given during the summer when I was in elementary school, just to keep me and my sister busy when we were staying home alone. My mom would give us stuff. So yes, sometimes there is summer reading, summer work. But their father, the captain, does not want them to dream away their summer holidays. And while the captain is away, he goes to Vienna to visit a girlfriend, actually, in Vienna, the Baroness. Maria starts teaching the children how to sing, and she takes them on outings, takes them for bike rides, and starts spending time with them and playing with them. And then, of course, when the captain comes home with with the Baroness, he is furious. His children are in ridiculous play clothes and climbing trees, running around, not doing what he expected Maria to do with them. And he is infuriated. And I love that scene. I love how she basically stands up to him and is like, no, you cannot do this. You can't treat your children like little soldiers. They are your children. They need affection. They need love. They need someone to take care, to be there for them, listen to them, and, comfort them, and spend time with them, and teach them. And you're not doing that, and your oldest is going to grow up and become a woman, and you won't even know her. And, your oldest son wants to be just like you. And your younger children are afraid of you. And that's wrong. And I just love how she talks back to him and stands up to him. And he does not like that. And like I said, he can fire her because he is her boss. And that's what he does. He's like, pack your things and leave. But then he overhears his children singing to the Baroness, and it's that moment of, that reconnection. He reconnects with his children when he hears them singing. And, he falls in love with them all over again. And that's what I love about their relationship, that Maria, she helps him reconnect with his children, which I think is the most important thing. His children should be the most important thing in his life. And she helps him heal that relationship, and that's what I love about them. But I also love how she is so sassy, and she talks back to him, like when he's giving her orders, how he's listing off how she needs to do things, what she needs to do, she's like, yes, sir. And when she, he had given her a whistle to call the children because he didn't want anyone shouting across the grounds because it's a very large house. And she's like, no, I can't use a whistle. Whistles are for animals. I'm a human being, and these children are human beings. I'm not going to call for them via a whistle. And then when he reluctantly, I think he reluctantly is like, okay, fine, whatever. He starts walking away, and then she blows the whistle and is like, I'm sorry, sir, what do I call you? And she just looks at her and is like, you may call me Captain. And of course the kids are snickering in the background, and I love the dinner scene when she basically guilts them, because the children, they're trying to get attention and get their father to notice them, and not to constantly hire governesses to take care of them, so they constantly pull all these pranks and stuff, and to get rid of them, so they put a little toad inside of Maria's pocket, and she, freaks out, of course, as the toad jumps out of her pocket. But it does not work because Maria is a lot stronger and braver of a person. She's not one to be underestimated. And she, at the dinner table, she comes running in and she's like, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for the precious gift you left in my pocket earlier today. And, when the captain asks her about the gift, she's like, oh, it's meant to be a secret between the children and me. And he's like, well, then I suggest you let us eat that and keep it to yourself. And she just continues to talk and make them feel like she's talking about how she feels so warm and welcome, and she appreciates how welcoming they are, and she just makes them, and the children, basically, the younger ones start crying, and the kids are like, feeling, the older ones are like, just looking, feeling all awkward, and just looking, like they don't know what to say or how to react to this. And I love that scene, and I love the scene, and I love the scene when he comes back and he's like, why my children, you're supposed to be doing things this way, and you let my children run around and play in clothes made out of curtains, and she just constantly talks back to him and is so sassy. And then after this whole reconnection with the children and everything, and he's like, I wanted to thank you for what you did, and he's like, not being very good at apologies. I mean, he doesn't say that, but you can tell he's not very good at used to apologizing. He's like, I'm sorry, and I would like you to come back. I'd like you to stay. And it's just, it's so awkward after that. It's just very awkward between the two of them. Because now they don't know how to handle each other. They don't know how to respond to each other. But then, of course, eventually you see the moment when she starts to fall for him, which is when he's sing when she actually, because he does sing when he hears his children sing, but that's part of the story. It's not, that's the type of singing you're not supposed to really, it's just like they're talking. I don't know, but I think also she was kind of more focused on the kids and making sure, and because she has them sing a beautiful little song for the Baroness. And so, but the first time she hears him sing, he's playing the guitar, and the children are like, our dad can sing. He should be the next person who sings. So he starts playing the guitar and singing the song Edelweiss. You can see her looking at him, and she's all smitten and swooning and stuff because he's so, and Christopher Plummer was a very handsome man back in the day. Is hearing him play, a man singing and playing the guitar, that to me is hot. That is very sexy. And unfortunately, the Baroness, who is supposed to be the one that's supposed to be marrying the captain, watches her and, she can tell she's looking at her and is like, oh, do I have competition? You're trying to steal my man from me. And then, of course, the Lendler, I think that's how you say it, I think. That scene is great because you can see the two of them are, it's, first I know, it's, to me that's a sexy dance. It's very intimate, and I know that it's not, grind up against each other, or it's not the tango, but still, to me, I feel like in its own way, it's very sexy, for the time period, because this is back in 1939, and this is in Austria, so their idea of sexy dance is a little different, of course, and there was a time before, and back in the 1800s, men and women couldn't even, it was considered intimate if they just held hands. It's still kind of intimate, but back then it was like, oh my god, you're holding hands, so I think, to me, a dance like the Lendler is just that scene is so intimate, and they're looking into each other's eyes, you can see them falling for each other, and the romantic tension, and for a moment, they're just lost in their own little world in this, intimate moment between the two of them. And of course, after the dance and everything, and then, the daughter, Brigida. Louise is the blonde. Brigida is all like, your face is all red. Because she's embarrassed. So, of course, the kid points that out, and it's like, oh, crap. So and even the Baroness notices that it's kind of getting hot in here between those two. And then of course it's kind of cute in a way how embarrassed and guilty how freaked out Maria is when the Baroness is like, oh, I can tell you're in love with him and everything, just the way you were dancing with him and stuff, and she looks so vulnerable. She's like a teenage girl. Because, I imagine she's probably, only in her early 20s. She's just a young girl, and she's so new to this, and it's so scary, and of course we know that the Baroness basically is trying to sabotage them. She's trying to scare Maria away, which she does. She ends up scaring Maria away, and Maria runs back, and she's terrified, because this is such a new experience for her, and she's so young, and she hasn't had, and he's probably the first man that she's come across, other than, the men who work in the convent. He's probably the first. So it's kind of, it's probably a very terrifying experience for her. And probably he's probably her first love, So the Baroness knew what she was doing by planting the seeds and being like, I can tell you're in love with him, and, he thinks he's in love with you. And of course, but then Maria, of course, Mother Abbess convinces her that, yes, it's scary, but you can't run away from your problems. You have to face them. You have to climb that mountain. Pun intended. If you've seen the musical, you know what I meant by that. So she had to, and she went back. And of course, if and this is an old movie, so you know what? Who cares I'm going to spoil it. Maria, she comes back, and then the Captain Maria, and the Baroness finally realizes she can't come between the two of them because they love each other, and he will never love the Baroness as much as he's in love with Maria. And finally, the Baroness gracefully bows out, which I did like. At first, I didn't like her, but then because she did that, I feel sympathetic towards her. And so, she was not a bad person, and you can't blame her for being protective and territorial. And then, I think any girl in their situation would do that. In her situation would do that. So then they tube in, I love this thing. There's two gazebo scenes. The first one is between Liesl and her boyfriend. What's his name? I can't remember his name. Unfortunately, that doesn't last. The two of them end up falling apart because her boyfriend becomes part of Hitler's youth. Because, like I said, this is in 1939, right before World War II. When Hitler and Stalin were both slowly taking over the countries that they wanted, and throughout Russia and Germany. Basically, throughout Europe, essentially. And he is he takes her, but anyway, the second gazebo scene is between the Captain Maria, and it's so beautiful, but so awkward and cute, because it's he's all I was wondering why you left and everything, and, I wish you hadn't, because when you left, everything was all wrong, it wasn't right, you should come back and stay, and she's like, well, you're getting married to the Baroness, so you won't need me anymore, and then he's like, well, actually, no, we called off our engagement. But it's so much more cute and awkward than the way but that's basically the gist of it. It's just this awkward little, slowly getting into the point where they are professing their feelings for each other. And the song in the movie, it's a different song in the musical, but I've never seen the musical. They did a live recording of it on TV, not a few years ago, but I didn't really watch it. So, but I know there's a different song in the musical, in the actual stage show, than in the movie. In the movie, it's Something Good. And they're basically talking about how, they aren't perfect, but they must have done something right to deserve each other, essentially. Okay, so, I really hope I don't have to redo this video, but I might end up redoing this video anyway, because it might be too long. So anyway, I'm just going to finish this up, and if I don't have to redo this, then I hope you have enjoyed my video. If not, then it doesn't matter, and I'm just going to remake it anyway. So, like I said, I have a bonus couple. That was couple number 5, but I decided to add a 6th couple because this is a very new couple for me. I am obsessed with this couple, and that is Matthew and Mary from Downton Abbey. I just love these two. This is another couple that's that's a little bit Pride and Prejudice-esque. Except for the man is kind of not poor, but he's middle class, and the woman is the rich one. And I feel like, and maybe this is just me, because the actor who plays Matthew Crawley is the same guy who also plays the Beast in the 2007 movie Beauty and the Beast. But I kind of make comparisons to Beauty and the Beast, except for sometimes I feel like Mary can be the beastly one. And Matthew's the nice one. But it's basically, Mary is the oldest in her family. They are a rich English family, but Mary cannot inherit her money until she gets married. And the safest bet, of course, is that if she marries a distant cousin who has some understanding of the family and everything. So, the first guy she was going to originally marry, he died. Unfortunately, sad to say, he died during the Titanic. It was probably 1913 or 1912 when the show starts. because it's right after the Titanic disaster. So I guess the first year is 1912. So it was after the Titanic disaster. So he dies. So in comes the next closest distant cousin, and that is Matthew Crawley. Matthew is a self-made man. He's a lawyer. He's not, like I said, he's middle class. It's just him and his mother. And he does not understand the rich way of life. He doesn't understand how they have so many servants, he is independent. He doesn't want anyone to help him. And right away, when the butler they give him, he's like, he won't let the guy dress him. Matthew wants to dress himself. He's self-sufficient. And of course his mom is like, yeah, we are this way, but we are in this new lifestyle, so we need to be very understanding and accepting of this life. Although his mom does have her own, she's not as 100% accepting of the situation. I mean, she accepts the situation, but she kind of also rebels too. And both Matthew and Mary are like, they do not want to do this, but unfortunately they don't have much of a choice. So they decide to get to know each other, because of course women didn't have a lot of choice during this time period. Women could not vote. It wasn't until 1920, I believe, when they were, or 1919, I don't remember, when they were finally given the right to vote. And like I said, Mary wouldn't get her fortune unless she married. So the two of them right away did not get along because they have opposite viewpoints. She's rich and she's used to the rich lifestyle, and he's not. So he's very judgmental of her, and she's judgmental right back. But the two of them, of course, they try to be friends. He tries to, there's an expression, I can't remember, something about leaf, a branch, or a branch or something. He offers a branch. I can't remember what that expression is, but and the two of them try to become friends. They try to be civil, but they're not civil. They do not like each other at first. But then they do an olive branch. That's what it is, an olive branch. He tries something olive branch. Extend an olive branch. And they try to be friends, but Mary's constantly flirting with other men. And right when Matthew thinks he could win her over, he sees her flirting again with another guy, and even Mary's sister, Edith, tries to flirt with him because, she doesn't like Mary always getting everything she wants, and doesn't like that Mary's the one that gets to marry the handsome man and get the money and all that. So she tries to, win over Matthew out of competitiveness. And, although I think Edith genuinely likes and cares about Matthew as he slowly becomes part of the family. And Matthew he's trying to win over Mary. He tries to be part of the family, accept his situation, and that he is going to become head of this rich household. This is going to be his responsibility. But, of course, his way of doing things conflicts with the way Mary's father does things, and he's just as stubborn as Mary is. And then when Mary and Matthew finally decide to see things the same way, unfortunately, Mary's mom gets pregnant, and Mary's aunt starts planting seeds of doubt in Mary, and he's like, are you sure you want to get married to Matthew? You don't want to get married right away, because what if your new sibling is a boy? He'll get everything. Do you really want to marry Matthew when he's not rich anymore and he won't be inheriting your family's money? So she becomes very reluctant. So Mary, and Matthew is rightfully angry and hurt by this, and he's like, the thing is, do you love? It's not about that. It's about can you love me enough, even if I don't get your family's money, will you still love me, even if I'm poor or middle class? And she doesn't know how she feels. She's confused. And then, unfortunately, World War I happens. So that's one of the many things that gets in the way. And then, of course, Matthew has moved on to another woman who, unfortunately and frustratingly, is really sweet and deserves happiness and is a great girl. And, of course, Mary has to be the better person and moral person. And, and it's so, but Matthew and Mary's feelings are still there, and they are still friends, and it just drives me crazy. And then Mary ends up deciding to marry another man because there was the scandal back in season 1 where one of the guys that she was flirting with died in her bed. So she somehow that guy finds out and is gonna expose that scandal. He will, there's another scandal, I can't remember what it was, but I don't know if it's the scandal between her baby sister Sybil and the chauffeur hooking up, or something else was going on, but, or no, actually, no, that's right, it was, Matthew's new fiance was kind of entangled with this one reporter guy, and Mary decided I should help these two, was like, I will give you this information about myself if you let them off the hook. And he does, and he's like, well, I will let you off the hook if you marry me. So, unfortunately, she's stuck with this guy who is a total douchebag, and very controlling, and doesn't, is very, sticks his nose up at their family's ways, and wants to own Mary, wants her to become part of his, it's all about him, and he doesn't like Mary's relationship with Matthew, because he can tell that Mary still has feelings for Matthew, which you can't blame him on that front, but it's hard because this guy's an asshole. So there's that. There's other people getting in the way, and then Matthew gets wounded on the battle. Matthew ends up lost in the battlefield, and then he's found, but he's severely wounded. He can't even something's wrong down there. He can't even reproduce, essentially, and he even pushes the other woman away. But he also doesn't, of course, he also is not going to be with Mary, because for the same reason he pushes the other woman away. He's like, I'm no good anymore. I can't give you a family anymore because I don't work right down there anymore, and I'm a cripple. You'll have to take care of me. But of course, then Mary's new fiance is like, he calls that woman back and persuades her to stay and take care of Matthew, because he knows that Mary's feelings for Matthew they're starting to get close again. And then of course there's one night during a dinner when everybody's over and everyone is getting sick, Matthew and Mary are caught in an intimate moment that Matthew's new fiance sees. So, and then she ends up dying, and even though she gave him permission, I know you love Mary and you want to be with her, but she also said on her dying, in her dying wish, she said, I'm sure this makes things a whole lot easier. Something along those lines. I don't remember the exact line. So Matthew is feeling horribly guilty because he feels like she gave up so that he can be with Mary. So he just no longer wants to be with Mary, and he feels he can't do this. He can't be with her because their love just won't work because of all these problems that their love has caused. And so it's like, they both have to walk away. And it's just so frustrating. This again is another couple that drives me crazy because I just want them together. It's there's so many things that keep getting in the way, and they're not things that you can brush under the rug, and they should be treated fairly. And in real life, it does not work that way. A couple, when there's another person in the picture, and people aren't going to automatically be horrible and someone you can just get rid of, or that don't deserve them to be with them, because you could potentially be with someone that actually is a good, deserving person, even if they're not the person you truly love. But I love Matthew and Mary. They are so cute. They are so sweet and beautiful together, and Matthew's such a good heart and humble person. And just like with Ron and Hermione, and all the other couples, they are a good balance for each other. I feel like they are good for each other. They help each other and make each other better. And even Mary believes that Matthew makes her better, makes her a kinder person, because she is very cold and very hard-hearted, and he makes her a kinder, warmer person. He softens her up, you could say. And I love that about them. Unfortunately, that does not. And season 3 is the best season for them. I love season 3 because of their ship and how their ship blossoms, and I just love Matthew and Mary. And anyway, okay, so those are my 5, technically 6, with a bonus 6th ship. My hate to love ships. This is a Goodreads. This top 5 ones, of course, is a Goodreads group. I will post the link to the Goodreads group for topics and such if you want to participate. This this Top 5 Wednesday is currently hosted by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. It was originally created by Ginger Reads Laney. And again, I will leave the link to the group in case you want to do your own Top 5 Wednesday. Right. Thank you for listening. I hope you liked it.